$110 a year. That is the entire fee difference between VFV and XEQT on $100,000. And it is the wrong number to argue about. The real difference between these two funds is a bet most people do not even know they are making. Stick around and I will show you the 2025 number that made me stop treating the winner as a sure thing. And which one I would actually put 100 grand into. Quick honesty check. I escaped a 2% bank mutual fund and went straight into the S&P 500 because obviously America always wins. The market then spent a few years teaching me the phrase recency bias. Expensive class, no refunds. First, what you actually own. VFV holds the 500 biggest American companies. That is it. XEQT holds roughly 9,000 stocks across the US, Canada, international markets, and emerging markets in one ticker that rebalances itself. Fees. VFV charges about 0.09%, XEQT about 0.20. On 100 grand, that is 90 bucks versus 200. A $110 gap, less than one streaming subscription. Real money, but not the decision. Now, the part the fee argument hides, in VFV, the top 10 companies control about 40.7% of the entire fund. 10 companies, almost half your money, mostly US mega cap tech. And here's the twist. About 43% of XEQT is US large caps, meaning almost half of XEQT basically is VFV. Then it adds 25% Canada, 25% international, and 7% emerging markets on top, which is why holding both is the classic accident. VFV plus XQT pushes you to roughly 73% US stocks. That is not diversification. That is doubling your American bet without noticing. But here's the part that actually changed how I think about this whole debate. And it is the reason I stopped treating the S&P 500 as the obvious answer. 2024, VFV returns 35%, XEQT 25%, a 10-point blowout. And since 2019, VFV was ahead on an annualized basis too. Case closed, right? That is exactly what I thought. 2025, total reversal, XEQT 20%, VFV 12%. On 100 grand, that single year swing is roughly $8,000. Suddenly, the $110 fee gap everyone argues about looks like a rounding error. So the real question is not the fee. It is this. Do you believe US dominance is permanent? If yes, VFV is your deliberate bet. If you would rather own a bet that works either way, that is exactly what XEQT is built for. So who is each fund actually for? VFV suits people making a deliberate US bet who will manage their own Canadian and international exposure. XEQT suits most Canadians with a 10+ year horizon who want one ticker they never have to babysit. Quick tax note before someone actually's me. Inside an RRSP, there is a small US withholding tax wrinkle, but it is single-digit basis points. Inside a TFSA, no meaningful difference at all. It is not a tiebreaker either way. My honest verdict. For most Canadians, XEQT is the better default, not because it won lately, but because it never asks you to predict the future. VFV is a fine fund if you know the bet you are making. Me, my own core is one boring, globally diversified fund with a small, deliberate tech slice on the side. The boring part does the heavy lifting. So which one are you holding? VFV, XEQT, or both? Drop it in the comments. I genuinely want to see the split. And if you want to know how these all-in-one funds stack against each other, the XEQT versus VEQT breakdown is waiting for you right up there. Subscribe so the next one finds you. Not financial advice, just the math and my honest take.